A look inside Boone Pickens Stadium, counting down to one of the biggest non-conference games in recent memory here at Oklahoma State, hosting the Arkansas Razorbacks. T-minus about 1 hour inside Boone Pickens Stadium as we welcome you outside the stadium and say hello. Welcome to the Oklahoma Ford Game Day. I'm Brian Keating alongside Hannah Hoover. Are you ready for a big-time college football game this afternoon?
I'm so ready for a big-time game. This is fun. We got the SEC Big 12 right here. This matchup hasn't happened in a long time.
No, I love it. Hadn't happened since 1980, which is hard to believe because Arkansas is just, it's just down the road.
They're so close.
Why haven't they played?
The fan bases alone are neighbors.
I know it. We've seen a lot of Hog fans so far outside Boone Pickens Stadium. Obviously, OSU fans and people will continue to pile in and tailgate as we kick off here at 11 o'clock. We'll take you from now until kickoff for Oklahoma State and Arkansas, both teams 1-0. Let's go to the highlights because how did we get here? We've only played one game both ways, but for Oklahoma State, Hannah, last week they were at home against South Dakota State. And you know what? We heard so much about a big football game and a tough South Dakota State team, number one team in FCS, and all Oklahoma State did was look very good in a win, going away 44-20.
That's right, yeah. And they broke their 29-game win streak. I think we heard that over and over on replay, but it's a big deal. This is a team that they had to take the game away from the Jackrabbits there, is what Gundy said, and that's what they did. I think it was fun to see Ollie Gordon. I know the run game is something that they're looking to improve upon from last week. But then you've got a 58-yard touchdown to Rashad Owens. That's just fun. Those are those big moments that get the crowd going and give you a flash of, okay, there's some serious receivers on this team. We knew that going in, but it's always good to see it in week one.
No doubt about it. They'd like to run the ball better. I know that. Let's look at the Arkansas Razorbacks, who were at home against Arkansas Pine Bluff, a team that is a lower Division I level kind of a team. And so Arkansas won 70-0. They did basically anything they wanted. And so for the Razorbacks, this is their first real test of the season.
It is. It is a real first test. Taylon Green was awesome. He had those 2 touchdowns, 88 yards rushing, I believe, somewhere around that ballpark. And when it comes down to it, he's going to be a real problem that OSU has to address. The trenches are tough in the SEC. They've got the depth, they've got the size, and I think that's really the difference between last week and this week is the trenches and what they're up against there and trying to stop their run game. That's the hallmark of a great football team. So there you go.
279 yards rushing for the Razorbacks in a big win last week. So here you go. Here's what's in front of us at 11 o'clock right here on Channel 5. It is Oklahoma State and Arkansas. And again, the first time since 1980. And they haven't played in this stadium since 1977. And so again, we will take you to kickoff inside and outside Boone Pickens Stadium. What do you expect of the atmosphere, getting out here for the first time outside Boone Pickens Stadium? What do you think of the outside tailgating thus far?
Look behind us. It's popping out here. We're having a good time. I'm looking forward to seeing what Audrey has cooked up out there in the tailgating scene. I've heard there's some lively crews out here having a good time already. It's 10 a.m.
That's right. This is a great place to tailgate, though, and so we'll take you outside of the tailgate. So we got a lot of great stories here on the Oklahoma Ford Game Day, but I want to hear from the head coach at Oklahoma State because obviously for the Cowboys, it's tougher this week than it was a week ago.
No doubt.
Big-time athletes, SEC talent with the Razorbacks and head coach Mike Gundy.
This team that we're playing Saturday, regardless of what anybody in the country may think, will be as talented as anybody we play all year, in my opinion. I think the series is good because you're going to want to play quality non-conference schedules now, so the committee will have respect for that.
Boone Pickens Stadium as the OSU group gets ready for Arkansas. And so Boone Pickens Stadium over the next 30 minutes will really begin to get lively, and the students will come in and the crowds will get ready. And so I can't wait for this. I think this is going to be a super fun matchup less than an hour away from Oklahoma State and Arkansas. I want to ask you a question. I think if you're from an Arkansas perspective, and really anybody that Oklahoma State plays from now until the end of the season, They circle, they say, Ollie Gordon, how do we slow down that guy? And Arkansas and Sam Pittman, they know that's got to be where they have to figure out how to stop and slow down Ollie Gordon, or they're going to be in trouble.
Definitely. I mean, he's dangerous. We all know he's one of the #1 returning rushers. Well, just coming into this season. So everyone, he's the marked man. We know that. It's a good time to be an OSU poke right now. But if they can stop, Arkansas and their run game as well, I think that's the bottom line.
So Ollie wasn't spectacular last Saturday. The
No.
numbers weren't spectacular. They were solid, though, because he got in the end zone 3 times. Look at his carries, 28 carries for 126 yards, 3 touchdowns. Those are solid numbers for most people in the country. But for Ollie Gordon, that wasn't spectacular. And so from an Arkansas perspective, their head coach, Sam Pittman, talking about what they have to do to slow down one of the best players in college football.
If they get him 2 or 3 yards, he's going to get 6 or 7, or more. So we're going to have to tackle him one-on-one, but we're going to have to get a lot of guys around the ball. So we're definitely understand how good he is. The other thing, too, is they have some dynamic skill that are difficult to get on the ground as well. So our tackling is going to have to be better. We're making a big emphasis on that this week.
So Arkansas is going to try to slow down Ollie Gordon, who's one of the best players in college football. You brought it up, and I think you're right. The running game for Arkansas is where they're going to hang their hat. They've got a bunch of guys who can do it. You mentioned Taylon Green, the transfer quarterback. But Jaquindon Jackson is a speedy, electric kind of a running back for the Razorbacks. 8 carries for 101 yards last week and a couple of scores. He is very tough to get. He's not a big guy, but man, he's tough to get to the ground.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for OSU's D-line, no doubt. But speaking of run games here, OSU, you said it just a minute ago, they really weren't satisfied with theirs last week. It was good, like you said, on paper for any other, Ollie Gordon, for any other running back. It was really great. But the players shared their thoughts on what they would like to see improvement-wise when it comes to this OSU run game right here. Arkansas visits Oklahoma State for a highly anticipated SEC versus Big 12 matchup. The Hogs and Pokes meet for the first time in Stillwater since 1977. The Cowboys coming off of a solid Week 1 win, aiming to keep that momentum rolling.
Physical, fast team. They're going to play hard. They're going to be sound, and it's just going to be a dogfight. Because they have talent, we have talent.
A dogfight, according to Brennan Presley, who echoes Coach Gundy, stressing the Pokes' need to improve their run game.
We just have to do a better job of blocking on the perimeter and stuff. Because we can do those things, but also if we don't in turn do our part in terms of digging out safeties and blocking trap corners and stuff like that. If we don't do our part, then Ollie has to make 5 guys miss.
The goal, to give Ollie Gordon plenty of room to take it to the house.
The way South Dakota State was running to the ball, and there's 8, 7 people behind tackling him, when it should be we get our blocks, and now he's one-on-one with somebody, and that's always a good advantage for us.
Offensive lineman Dalton Cooper weighs in, knowing this week will present a greater challenge in the trenches.
These last guys we played, they were 280, 275, so they were not going to say that they were easy to block, but they definitely aren't going to be as challenging as these Arkansas guys.
The depth and size of SEC teams often sets them apart.
I feel like most of the big name guys are all SEC now, just because there's 16 teams in the conference now, so there's more pool, I think, for them to go to those schools. But I still think the Big 12 is very competitive, just same as anybody else. Any given day, one team can beat another team, and it's just who shows up that day. So we just got to show up every week.
We love playing an SEC team, just getting out of conference, just get that feel of something different every once in a while.
OSU ranked number 16 on the AP polls, Arkansas unranked.
Just attack the day, don't get too far ahead in our minds, and just stay humble and grounded with what we do.
Well, you heard Brennan Presley there. It's going to be a dogfight, and that's why we're excited about this game. SEC, Big 12 matchup. They're due for this matchup.
Here's the deal. We're going to talk a lot about the SEC and size and speed, and all that is correct. But the last time OSU played a team from the SEC, it was the bowl game, and they beat Texas A&M. And so let's not make this out like they're playing the Dallas Cowboys today.
Yeah.
They're playing a good team
Yeah.
that has good athletes and good players, but it's still a regular
People get
college
excited.
football game. But I know, yeah, that's the way it is. That's the way it is. Speaking of this OSU and Arkansas match, and this is one of the things that I like so much about this game, is that you're going to have some people rooting for this team and a lot of people rooting for Arkansas that are come in. And so let's go live to one of the tailgates. It's a great place to be here inside Boone Pickens Stadium. Audrey Goodson is live, and this is fun because you've got a tailgate divided. You're not going to have the only one. There's going to be a lot of these around Boone Pickens Stadium today, but I think this is fun, Audrey.
Oh my gosh, this is so much fun. I have some Hawks and some Cowboys over here. We have a total tailgate divided here. This is so much fun. We got Sam Pittman and the Hogs, and we've got Mike Gutty and the Cowboys. I mean, this is just great. These are actually some really good friends that are here tailgating together, and they say they haven't been able to do this in years because OSU and Arkansas haven't been able to play each other since the 80s. So tell me a little bit about how excited you are that you all finally get to tailgate together.
We are thrilled. We've been planning this for what, a year probably?
A year, yeah,
easily.
at least.
Yeah, so we're super excited to be here.
Awesome.
Lots of fun.
So what does it mean to you guys that y'all get to play each other today?
Fun rival.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we'll still be friends regardless.
We will, regardless. Yeah. That was another thing I was going to ask. Are y'all still going to be okay after this game? Like, what do you think the score is going to be? Who's going to win?
Last season they took defeat well,
Arkansas.
so I think that's good.
Arkansas will win. Okay. Final score prediction.
37-13.
Okay.
Oh, I'd say 42-30.
42-30. Oh, you heard it here. All right, this is so much fun, but back to you guys.
That's awesome. I love it.
I love it. The tailgates, man. I told you the tailgating was going to be awesome, you know? And so they're getting after it out there.
You wouldn't think it was 10 a.m.
No, that's okay. So coming up next on the Oklahoma Ford Game Day, we will talk about the Oklahoma Sooners who are at home against the University of Houston. But I want to take you inside Boone Pickens Stadium as we count down to Oklahoma State and Arkansas. And for you coming up, you've got a really cool interview
I do.
with one of the SEC ESPN analysts.
That's right, Alyssa Lang. I'm looking forward to sharing that with you guys, and it's a good one. I like her take.
Countdown to Oklahoma State and Arkansas at 11 o'clock at Boone Pickens Stadium. Stay with us on the Oklahoma Ford Game Day. Welcome back to the Oklahoma Ford Game Day as we count you down to Big 12 and SEC inside Boone Pickens Stadium with the Arkansas Razorbacks coming to town. T-minus, well, a little less than 45 minutes to kick off as the Cowboys get ready for the Razorbacks. And we welcome you outside Boone Pickens Stadium. Brian Keating alongside Hannah Hoover. I think this is a fun matchup because not only do you have the Oklahoma, Arkansas, and the proximity thing, but you also have the Big 12 trying to make a little noise against the SEC. And what an opportunity, I think, for the Big 12 Conference and the Oklahoma State Cowboys today.
You can't help but kind of get the feeling that you're proving yourself, right? SEC has
bit,
this little
yeah.
title to it, and everyone gets really excited, but OSU is a really great team. I spoke with the SEC analyst, host, reporter Alyssa Lang to get the inside scoop on Arkansas. Who is this team this year with a heavy transfer portal? Here she is. Let's talk about OSU and Arkansas now. They have not played since 1980. It was the Jimmy Johnson and Lou Holtz era there. What are you most excited about this matchup?
I think for Arkansas, I'm most excited to see if the offensive fireworks that we saw in week 1 against Arkansas Pine Bluff can continue against OSU. This could be a sneaky good game for an offense to score on all 10 offensive drives for that to result in a touchdown as Arkansas did in their opener. I think is a really good sign for Razorback fans. Again, you have to take into account who the opponent was.
70-0 is definitely hard to tell when it comes to what kind of competition they're about to face. OSU had a great first week as well against South Dakota State. Mike Gundy mentioned we'd like to do more in their run game. That was one of the pressure points, if you will. So Arkansas's defensive line is one of their best assets. What do you think the Pokes are up against this D-line?
As an offense in the SEC, you got to be able to run the football to win games. As a defense in the SEC, you got to be able to stop the run to win games, right? So Coach Gundy wants to come in and run the football. That's the hallmark of a great team. But if you're Arkansas, you're sitting there going, there's no way we're letting a team run all over us, right?
An Arkansas defense needing to improve tackling from week 1, now against the nation's leading returning rusher, Ollie Gordon.
But what I guess I'm most excited about is seeing Taylon Green against some upped competition, right? We knew coming into the season that he's a heck of an athlete. We know how dangerous he is as a ball carrier, how he can create with his legs. How will he be able to do that against an OSU defense?
Well, Taylon Green is a transfer. Talk about the transfers at Arkansas as a whole. It seems like they did pretty well in the transfer portal this year, but obviously it's very early in the season and hard to know, are those good moves? Are those wins in the transfer portal?
Yeah, it's such an interesting conversation because there's so many conversations and so many storylines with transfer players all over college football, right? And certainly in week 1, even week 2, maybe even week 3, just early in the season, it's not always the case where you see transfer players gel immediately with the roster that was there.
Adjustments made to the 2024 Razorback team, but the Pokes have a similar roster from last year, allowing for more cohesion and maturity early on. Okay, last question. What is your prediction for this game?
Ooh, that's a great question. Well, I have to take Arkansas in the win. I loved the way they showed up in week 1, and I've been a Taylon Green supporter since before he put on the Arkansas uniform and went out there week 1. I was really excited. I will say Arkansas by a touchdown. Let's make it interesting.
Arkansas by a touchdown. That is pretty interesting. I don't know. We're going to give our picks later in the show.
We'll give our picks later in the show.
But that was Alyssa Lang there with the SEC.
I'll give you a heads up. It won't be Arkansas by a touchdown.
No, I don't think so either.
There's the man of the hour right there inside Boone Pickens Stadium. Number 0, the best running back in college football as the Cowboys make their way inside the tunnel. Final preparations inside Boone Pickens Stadium. Counting you down to Oklahoma State and Arkansas at the top of the hour right here on Channel 5. Let's talk about the game in Norman tonight because Oklahoma is at home against Houston. And so it's another
Big
game. You got a
school.
little Big 12. You got a little SEC. Now the difference is Houston is not nearly as good and on the same level as Arkansas.
No.
But the 15th ranked Oklahoma Sooners are at home against the Houston Cougars. I'll ask you this question because I think for me this is what I want to see is can the young quarterback Jackson Arnold continue to get better and better and better because 2 weeks from today they have Tennessee.
You hate to say it's a warm-up, but in some ways you're easing into the SEC play, and he really did all the right things last week. I think he was awesome at what they needed him to do. He ran, he passed well, he had 3 touchdowns to Deion Burks. I think that was his favorite receiver of the day. And then also Bauer Sharp, the tight end. I really like that connection. It seems like they have a really great chemistry there. He's a transfer, but yeah, Jackson Arnold, I think you just want to see him continue to progress in this QB1 role, and he'll do just that.
The games get more difficult for Oklahoma.
Yeah,
Today ought to be a toss-up. So go out there, get better, because, again, 2 weeks from today, that's when it really gets serious at the University of Oklahoma. I think this is cool about the game today in Norman because they are wearing special uniforms, which are a throwback to the Bud Wilkinson teams of the 1940s and 50s, part of that 47-game winning streak. Look at Brent Venables looking like Bud Wilkinson. That is so cool.
Really
I think the photos are awesome. I think this is a special touch that will be very cool tonight, remembering those great teams of yesteryear. And Brent Venables talking about the uniforms, the setup, and what he hopes for the Sooners tonight against the Houston Cougars.
Throwback alternate uniforms that resemble the 1950, 55, and 56 Bud Wilkinson teams. I know our players they'll like running around in those. Obviously, we know uniforms don't win for you, so don't want it to be a distraction, but certainly it's a great opportunity for us to honor some of the former great teams here at Oklahoma.
Did you say Gundy's out?
So the special uniforms honoring those great teams from the University of Oklahoma. Look, we don't need to talk a lot about Oklahoma. We're building up to Oklahoma State and Arkansas, which is a marquee game in college football today, but I'll ask you to make the pick. I think we're both picking Oklahoma, but I'll let you go first.
We are. Okay, I said by 20 and crashing the boards.
On Sunday night?
And
yeah.
we had a little debate. I feel like, it's okay. We're not always going to agree. I will say I've changed a little bit. Not a lot. I'm going to say OU by 27. I think that Willie Fritz does a great job on the road, and he's a Big 12 guy. He's that coaching caliber that you like to see. And I don't know. I think that OU by a lot still.
OU by a lot. I also said Oklahoma by 40. I think that's probably in the realm of possibility. I'll go somewhere like 51-10. I think Oklahoma's going to roll. It's got pick your score kind of a game. I just want to see improvement from the Sooners.
Yeah.
Can you get better and better and better? Because, again, and you can't say it enough, the games get more difficult. 2 weeks from tonight, it's Tennessee. Then you're at Auburn. Then you start talking about OU Texas. Like it
ramps up quick.
It gets very serious, very fast for Oklahoma. So you got to be prepared in 2 weeks, and I think they'll blow out Houston today. All right, stay with us on the Oklahoma Ford Game Day because this is the marquee game that we're talking about today. Oklahoma State and Arkansas. So many storylines with the Hogs and the Cowboys, and let's go inside Boone Pickens Stadium because the Pokes trying to get ready for a big opportunity today against the Hogs.
A fun day, a big opportunity for OSU. We'll see what happens.
Inside Boone Pickens Stadium. Stay with us on the Oklahoma Ford Game Day. Counting you down to Oklahoma State and Arkansas. Welcome back to the Oklahoma Ford Game Day, counting you down to Oklahoma State and Arkansas here inside Boone Pickens Stadium. And with so many connections with the Oklahoma and Arkansas proximity, and there's been a lot of kids over the years that go play at Arkansas. There's been a lot of kids from Arkansas play at Oklahoma State. Here's one of them. Luke Haas from Bixby High School is a tight end who it wouldn't surprise me if you heard his name over the big screen in the loudspeaker today at some point.
He's quite good. He had a breakout season there last year with the LSU game. Kind of put him on the map. That was a fun one. I know there was a close game, LSU-Arkansas. So love to see a hometown kid having some success, and even if it is Arkansas.
Even if it is from Arkansas. Now, that's right. Luke Haas, a name to watch today for the Arkansas Razorbacks as we welcome you back outside Boone Pickens Stadium. I'm Brian Keating alongside Hannah Hoover. This is interesting as well because we talk about Luke Haas, an Oklahoma kid who played for Arkansas or does play for Arkansas. How about a all-time great at Oklahoma State, Leslie O'Neal?
So
I think
cool.
When you talk to Arkansas fans, they go, oh, man, he's the one that got away. And so inside Boone Pickens Stadium, Leslie O'Neal, College Football Hall of Famer, NFL Hall of Famer, will get his name unveiled among the greats in Oklahoma State football history right there, and he'll have his name in the Ring of Honor, and so that will happen, I believe, at halftime today. And so I think that is very cool, and this is a cool story. We have more with it. Our own Colby Terrell talking Ring of Honor and Leslie O'Neal.
These four names at the top of Boone Pickens Stadium are Cowboy legends. You may recognize a few, and all of them are running backs. But at halftime versus Arkansas, Oklahoma State football will make sure their first defensive player in the Ring of Honor feels the love from the loyal and true.
It's fitting that the first defender to go up is the most dominating performer in OSU football history on that side of the ball.
Like most successful people, he was an outstanding individual off the field. He's very intelligent.
An Arkansan turned Cowboy in the 80s made Oklahoma State's defense lethal.
You look in our record books and he's all over it. I mean, 16 sacks in a single season, still stands at number one, and his all-time record of 34 sacks is also at the top of the OSU list.
And now when they play Arkansas, OSU is enshrining Leslie O'Neal at the top of Boone Pickens Stadium next to some pretty big names.
You've got Thurman Thomas went in first. He's our all-time leading rusher. Barry Sanders went in next. He's the GOAT, the greatest running back of all time.
Leslie going up in the Ring of Honor with those players, it says a little bit about how good a player and good a person he was.
O'Neal was coached by OSU legends, including Pat Jones and Hall of Famer Jimmy Johnson.
Leslie O'Neal was one of the better recruits that we had at my time at Oklahoma State. Butch Davis recruited him. Pat Jones coached him, and he was just an outstanding player, an outstanding person.
In 2020, number 99 was inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame.
I think you have to have a little bit of meanness in there. You just have to have a lot of will to get to the ball also.
But some at OSU have already started campaigning to get him to a higher honor for his time with the then San Diego Chargers.
Leslie, with the Chargers, really did an outstanding job. He was a perfect fit as a defensive end and a pass rusher.
When you look at the all-time sack leaders, when he retired, he was number 7 on that all-time NFL sack list. He's now tied for 14th.
That means he's tied with all-time NFL great Lawrence Taylor. And Coach Jimmy Johnson says it's time.
I've coached 17 of them in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and Leslie fits right in there with all of them.
Getting him to come to OSU growing up an Arkansas fan was no small task.
For the Cowboys and Pat Jones to be able to go in there and take a guy of Leslie O'Neal's caliber is a big deal, and really led to some great teams and the best defensive teams OSU's ever had.
Well, Butch Davis is an outstanding recruiter. I was always amazed when I would go into the homes of the mothers and fathers and recruits, and Butch would take over. And he was a pretty good salesman.
So they say there's not a more fitting opponent than the Hogs to give him his flowers.
With him being Little Rock, Arkansas Cowboy, that we thought, man, it just makes sense for us to be playing Arkansas.
And at halftime,
we'll unveil the name Leslie O'Neal at the top of Boone Pickens Stadium, and it will forever be theirs.
Cowboys and Razorbacks will come together to honor a man who's made his mark on the football world.
It's going to be special for both states. I know Arkansas is proud of what Leslie O'Neal has done in his playing career, and you know how Oklahoma State feels about him.
Colby Terrell, KOCO 5 News.
I said NFL Hall of Famer. It's only because he should be there, and you assume that how great he was that he is in the NFL Hall of Fame, and I think no one more deserving, and certainly from Oklahoma State's perspective. Mike Gundy said earlier this week, he said Leslie O'Neal, so everybody knows Barry Sanders and Thurman Thomas, but Leslie O'Neal was that same guy. He just played defense, and so he didn't have the ball, and so the numbers are different, but I think very deserving, very cool.
I was going to say, first defensive player up on the Ring of Honor as well, so that's a huge accomplishment. Obviously, he's outstanding, so just a matter of time. Live look there at the stadium as well, and Alan Bowman, I'm excited to see him in week 2. He had a great first week. Plays that OSU offense well.
He does. Short passing, don't make bad plays. Inside Boone Pickens Stadium, counting you down to Oklahoma State and Arkansas. And here's one of the guys that I would say as we throw to break, maybe if he has another great season, might find his name inside Boone Pickens Stadium. And of course, I'm talking about Ollie Gordon. As we count you down to Oklahoma State and Arkansas here on the Oklahoma Ford Game Day. Inside Boone Pickens Stadium, the countdown is on to Oklahoma State and Arkansas. The crowd continues to come in. The students are getting settled. The paddle people are ready to get after it.
Those are fun. They're a fun group of people, the paddle people.
And we'll count you down here on the Oklahoma Ford Game Day. We welcome you into the show. Brian Keating, Hannah Hoover. Hannah, we've talked a lot about Ollie Gordon. We've talked a little bit about Alan Bowman. The receiving corps has some marquee names on it as well. And I want to talk about one of those guys that's played a lot of football here at Oklahoma State. Our lucky star to watch is Brennan Presley, who is a senior, a super senior out of Bixby, who is a little bit of a do-it-all kind of guy, return kicks, short passing game, and has had a tremendous career and could have a big game here against Arkansas.
Yeah, he had a great game. Even last week, we didn't see as many yards maybe as you hope to see, but again, they spread it around, and he's one of those the three guys.
Yep.
You've got Rashad Owens. He had the 58-yard catch for a touchdown last week, and that was impressive. But I'm excited to just see what Brennan Presley does this year. He's on the list of a lot of greats. I know 232 touches is something to be proud of for sure, and that's where he stands right now.
232 receptions. Let's see the list. He is third all-time in Oklahoma State football history in receptions in his career, and
That's
he
big
continues to build on that. You bet. When you look at this list of receivers, obviously Rashawn Woods back in the early 2000s. Justin Blackman is one of the best receivers ever to play in college football, and then there he is, Brennan Presley, with 232 receptions ahead of two guys that, one of them, James Washington out of Texas, and Hartley Dykes out of Texas as well.
Washington with a big Pittsburgh stint there. I think he made his way on a Cowboys team as well for a little bit. But, yeah, that's an impressive list of names there that he happens to make the cut for, and he has more time.
When it's all said and done, he will likely end up as the all-time leading receptions leader here in the history of Oklahoma State football, which is remarkable. So our lucky star to watch, Brennan Presley, part of a big three-headed monster of wide receivers.
That phrase.
You said that.
Monster.
Yeah, no, that's right. And so we're counting you down, obviously, to Oklahoma State and Arkansas, and so much conversation about Big 12 versus SEC. And so the head coach of the Cowboys, Mike Gundy, what might be different? What are the challenges? How do you have to get better as you face an Arkansas team looking for a marquee win here tonight?
This team that we're playing Saturday, regardless of what anybody in the country may think, will be as talented as anybody we play all year, in my opinion.
That is high praise from the head coach, especially for a team that had a losing record last season.
They had 4 or 5 games they played last year that they could have won. So I don't know what their record was last year, but it looked like to me they could have won 8 games pretty easy in obviously a very difficult conference.
Ball's loose.
The Hogs were 4-8.
Throwing back, corner of the end zone.
But they lost by 7 to BYU and lost by 3 to LSU.
No problem.
And lost by a touchdown to Ole Miss. And just a field goal to Alabama.
Gets hit.
And then 4 to Mississippi State.
Jefferson launches.
So that's 5 games by a touchdown or less.
And it's batted down. Game over.
But that was so last season. We just watched them win by 70 against Arkansas Pine Bluff.
When you play a team in the SEC, you're going to play girth. You're going to play massive guys that have a lot of size and they're physical in the box. And we need to make good strides between last week and this week in order to block a completely different front than what we saw last week.
The Cowboys played against Mark Gronowski, last season's Walter Payton Award winner.
They're caught for the touchdown.
It's the FCS equivalent to the Heisman Trophy.
But it's Green who keeps it.
And this week,
showing off the speed.
It's transfer quarterback, the speedy Talon Green, who threw for 2 touchdowns and ran for 2 more in his debut for the Razorbacks.
I mean, he's a guy that can make plays.
Decides to tuck and run, showing off the wheels once again.
You got to have a guy for him. And you are competing against a guy that has the ability to run. You have to take that into account in your structure of defense and the style of play.
And this is hard to believe. The Cowboys and Razorbacks have not played in 4 decades. 1980 was the last time, and that one was in Little Rock. They haven't played in Stillwater since 1977.
I think the series is good because you're going to want to play quality non-conference schedules now, so the committee will have respect for that. And this is a good matchup because it's 2 hours and 45 minutes away, and you have a lot of crossover with people, right? There's a lot of Arkansas people that can live over here, and there's a lot of Oklahoma people that have migrated over there with Walmart and all that stuff. So I think it's good.
We mentioned the last time they played was 1980. In 1977, they played here in Stillwater, and these 2 guys were the head coaches. And I just love the old photos, man. Jimmy Johnson and Lou Holtz.
Vintage.
It is definitely vintage. The hairdos were a little different, but you're talking about two College Football Hall of Famers, two of the all-time greats, and this was the last time they did it here in Stillwater. That's fun stuff. Let's go to a tailgate, Hannah, because Audrey Goodson's kind of floating around. I think she's got a fun job. She was at a house-divided tailgate a minute ago. And
that was a good time.
That was. And so part of the tailgate experience is the food. And so, Audrey, you have some interesting and I think pretty fun food where you're at today.
I sure do. First, I've got some really awesome fans at this tailgate, and they are ready to head into the game. But now, let's head over to the king of this tailgate. This is James. And James, what have you cooked up for us today?
Today we got a whole hog today with pulled pork and bologna and donuts.
So what do you think the folks are going to do? Are they going to smoke the hogs just like
They're going to smoke the hogs just like we smoked there.
Awesome. So what'd you stuff this with?
We stuffed it with pulled pork and bologna.
Amazing. Okay, one more question. Final score prediction.
28-10.
You heard it here. All right, 28-10. And go Pokes!
So Hannah, we got to get you an orange cowboy hat. I don't know. I might need one too because that looks awesome. That looks fun.
I think I want to sport that around all day. I'm gonna have to go borrow it.
No, if she's around, come bring us the hat because we'll put it on. And no, that's it. Count you down to Oklahoma State and Arkansas inside Boone Pickens Stadium, less than 20 minutes away. Stay here on the Oklahoma Ford Game Day. Countdown is on to Oklahoma State and Arkansas inside Boone Pickens Stadium at 11 o'clock, so about 15 minutes away from one of the biggest non-conference games here in Boone Pickens Stadium in a long time on the Oklahoma Ford Game Day. We welcome you outside Boone Pickens Stadium. Brian Keating and Hannah Hoover. Are you getting a little more juiced? Can you feel the vibe?
I can feel it.
People have started to make their way more and more inside the stadium.
Yeah, we're definitely caffeinated and ready to go here. Someone just brought him an energy drink, so we're ready to roll.
It's game day. You got to get ready. You got to get the vibes and the juices going. No, I love it. One of the guys, we talk so much about offense, Hannah, and because that's what you do. But Leslie O'Neal is getting his name inside the Ring of Honor today. And
big deal.
One other guy who is one of the sack artists in Oklahoma State football history is Colin Oliver. He's in the top 5 in sacks, and so he's going to get out there today and see if he can't make a little bit of noise. He had a sack last week against South Dakota State, and I sat one-on-one with one of the best defensive players at Oklahoma State, Colin Oliver, a couple of weeks ago.
Do you feel like you got unfinished business?
I definitely do. I've been to the Big 12 championship game 2 out of my soon-to-be 4 years here, and both times I lost. So I definitely feel like that's a goal that I want to get back to, and I want to win it this time.
For Oklahoma State, win a conference championship if you score.
Do you revisit that all the time?
Jackson trying to turn the corner, and he did not get there.
There are times where I think back on it, whether it's in a weight room or just me being by myself. In times where I feel like you need extra motivation. You think back on those times, and you think back on we were literally an inch short one time, and then the second time we just got our tails kicked. The fact that I don't want those feelings anymore really sticks with me. So anytime I feel like I'm slacking or I feel like I'm not doing my best, whether it's in like I said, the weight room or really just anything I'm doing, I think back on those times, just the feelings that I don't want anymore.
Being running out of time, and he's brought down.
You guys are veteran everywhere. What is different about this team?
I just think that how close we are, and I feel like we can carry that. You can't say that for a lot of teams in the country, honestly. And just how close we are and how much we care about each other. That's what makes us different.
Throw dangerous, and it's intercepted.
This is my senior year. I wouldn't call myself old, but I've been in college for a decent amount of time. And I've seen my good amount of things. So yeah, man, the experience really does help, and I feel like it's going to help us this year for sure.
Colin Oliver
What's your defense going to look like? What's going to be different? What's going to be better?
Honestly, just the fact that we're going to improve on what we did last year, that's going to be better. Just our football knowledge and the way that we think about the game, the way that our players play, and the way that our whole defense and offense as a whole is just going to we're going to know things that we really didn't know last year because we went through them last year.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So the fact that we're all really just going to grow together again is going to be a real cool thing. So
does that make you guys? It seems like you guys are a little bit different because you don't have transfers and you didn't have many guys leave.
Yeah, this is a total flip from the year before.
Yeah.
But I think it's definitely it's different, man. Because honestly, nowadays you really don't get a lot of teams like that who stick together, stuff like that. So the fact that we did that is a really cool thing.
So that's Colin Oliver, and he brought it up, and the Big 12 championship, and he's played a lot of football here at Oklahoma State, and I think, certainly today with the Big 12 versus the SEC narrative, I think it is an opportunity on a grand scale. You can get to the college football playoff now by winning your conference, but
Definitely.
Oklahoma State, as high as they were ranked, as solid of a schedule that they will play, you win today, you have that feather in your cap beating an Arkansas team here. I think all of that goes forward. And so what he said about getting to the Big 12 championship game and winning it, you can tell it's really on their mind. And they do talk hungry, and I thought they played hungry last Saturday in a big win against South Dakota State.
Definitely. They're itching to get back to it. I mean, you lose to Texas, right? They're in the SEC now. But at the end of the day, this new 12-team playoff picture opens things up, and Gundy has really preached on it. I've heard him say it multiple times that, having great non-conference schedules helps them in the long run. You've got Utah number 1 in that preseason poll, K-State number 2, and then OSU number 3. So everyone knows they're good. There's no question about that. They've got a lot of talented players. Ollie Gordon definitely makes this team high on that list, I would say. He's their marked man, and everyone's talking about him, and kids are wearing his jersey everywhere, and it's fun. It's fun to be here for that tailgate. But, I think that they're itching to get back. They're hungry, and that's always a good sign.
As well as they played last week, we'll see if they can do that again. We'll see if they can be better today. Stay with us on the Oklahoma Ford Game Day, counting you down to Oklahoma State and Arkansas, and you can see on the field they are getting close. They are getting ready, and it is almost time for kickoff here at Boone Pickens Stadium. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Oklahoma Ford Game Day outside Boone Pickens Stadium, counting you down to Oklahoma State and Arkansas inside Boone Pickens Stadium. The crowd is getting fired up. The teams are about ready to run out of that tunnel, and I can't wait for in my opinion, one of the most anticipated non-conference games, certainly at Boone Pickens Stadium in a long time.
It is. It is a lot of hype around here, but for good reason. This is a big deal. We've joked about it, SEC. It just means more. That sounds, a little cliche. But there is that narrative. There's that storyline, and it is. It's a fun game, and we'll see what the Pokes can do.
All right, so here's the big question, I think, for Oklahoma State fans. Roll the video, because Ollie Gordon, obviously everybody goes, how do you beat OSU? You stop Ollie Gordon. Right. I don't know if Arkansas can do that or not. How many yards for Ollie Gordon today?
I'm going to say 220.
220? Holy smokes.
I have faith.
You think a big day.
Yeah, I have faith in him. I'm going big or go home. I think last week they just didn't have the week that they anticipated against the South Dakota State team in their run game. I think they're hungry, this team. I really do. We talked about it in the last segment there, and I think they find a way to make this run game happen and open things up for Ollie Gordon. Not to mention, this guy can make people miss.
He can definitely do that, and he is a super talented player. I'm going more around the 130, but if they go to 220, Oklahoma State's going to win.
I
don't think
there's
go
big or go
any
home.
question about that. Let's talk from offense to defense. Our Oklahoma Ford defensive keys to the game. We know what it is for Arkansas. Slow down Ollie Gordon. I think for Oklahoma State, how do you slow down the athletic, mobile quarterback that is Taylon Green?
Yeah, I think we've seen him use his legs a lot. He's from the DFW area, and I don't know that passing has ever been his strong suit. That doesn't mean it can't be now. It doesn't mean he hasn't really made some changes. But I think that if they can stop him in the run and not have a huge opportunity there in the passing game, then that's how you stop him. That is how you stop Talon Green.
Talon Green is an athletic guy who is a much better runner than he is a thrower. And if you can pressure him, then you can force him into mistakes. When he was playing at Boise State, he had a tendency to make really bad decisions with guys in his face. He's not different than a lot of quarterbacks. You get guys in their face, they make bad decisions. And so for Oklahoma State, and we talked about Colin Oliver, if Colin Oliver wants to have his fingerprints on this game, go pressure Talon Green. I think that's how Oklahoma State wins. That's why it's the Oklahoma 4 defensive keys to the game. Can they slow him down? We shall see. All right, Hannah, it is that time because we are getting close to Oklahoma State and Arkansas inside Boone Pickens Stadium. Who you got, Cowboys or the Hogs?
You know, my margin is switched a little bit. Again, I would have said a little bit of a...
You can't make a decision. That's all right.
I can't make a decision.
This is the only time it matters.
It is. It's the only time it matters, and I'm crumbling under pressure. 35-28. I'm going to say the Pokes take this one. Alyssa Lang said that it was going to be by 7. I just have it the opposite way.
I think Oklahoma State's going to win as well. I've got it 31-20. I think it will be close. I think it will be super competitive. I think it will be close down the stretch in the fourth quarter. But Mike Gundy has made a career of winning close football games. Sometimes to Cowboys fans' chagrin, they just hate it. It's close again, and it's. But they call him the Cardiac Cowboys for a reason. And so it will be close, and Mike's made a career of winning close football games. Contrast that with Arkansas, who over the last few years also plays in close games and has just found ways to lose those close games. OSU's won 21 of 23 in this stadium. It is hard to win here. It is hard to win a close game against Oklahoma State. I am picking the Cowboys to beat the Razorbacks and continue this run and get another win against the Southeastern Conference.
Pistols firing. There you go. That's
what
he says.
We didn't get your orange cowboy hat, which is a bummer. I would have liked to have had the orange cowboy hat as well.
There's always next time.
There's always we'll get that done. But thanks for watching the Oklahoma Ford Game Day. Enjoy Oklahoma State and Arkansas as we take you inside now Boone Pickens Stadium for Oklahoma State and Arkansas. Let's see the live picture. Anything else as Cowboys fans gear up for the Razorbacks today?
Well, I'd just say I really hope we see Ollie Gordon run at least 200. I'm really hoping for that.
200.
I know that's a lot, Brian. I know it's a lot, but I think it can happen, and he's done it before.
It's sold out today. It's sold out the entire year, and this is when it gets serious. There's a reason Boone Pickens Stadium has turned into one of the most difficult places in the country to play. And the Cowboys are about ready to run out, and the paddle people are getting fired up, and we cannot wait. It is Arkansas, and it is Oklahoma State once again. Thanks for watching the Oklahoma Ford Game Day. Enjoy the game. For Hannah Hoover, I'm Brian Keating, and Audrey Goodson. See ya!